Makhana board in Bihar. Special opportunity for the people of Bihar. IIT Patna will also be expanded. Greenfield airports in Bihar. National Institute of Food Technology in Bihar. I am now happy to announce that there will be no income tax payable up to income of 12 lakh rupees.
GST cut will benefit everybody because everybody, poorest and richest, pay GST for every service, every goods. There is a GST. A GST cut would have put money in every pocket. Petrol and diesel prices are cut. It would have benefited everybody, including the farmer who buys diesel for his tractor, for his two-wheeler.
मुझे ये समझ नहीं आ रहा कि ये भारत सरकार का बजट है कि बिहार सरकार का बजट है। आपने बिहार के अलावा किसी और प्रदेश का नाम सुना वित्त मंत्री जी के पूरे बजट भाषण में? तो जब आप देश के बजट की बात करते हैं तो सारे देश के लिए उसमें कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए। और ये बड़ी दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है कि जिन बैसाखियों पे सरकार चल रही है उन बैसाखियों को स्थिर रखने के लिए उन्होंने बाकी मुल्क की जो विकास है उसको बिल्कुल दाव पे लगा दिया। Well, the tax proposals will have to be studied carefully. Right? The finance minister has made certain assertions. Those assertions would have to be looked at. The fine print would have to be looked at. And then only, would you come to a determination. But in nutshell, I would again like to reiterate, was this a budget of the government of India or was this a budget of the government of Bihar?
The middle class tax cut is what the BJP people are cheering, and I think we'll all await the details of that with interest. But beyond that, there's some fundamental questions about the nature of our economy and what the finance minister's statement does to address them that are still not yet clear. For example, what is being done to ensure that the sort of national manufacturing mission she's talking about will take off? Right now, the investment climate is bad. Even domestic investors are not investing. Foreign investors are pulling their money out. Where is the money going to come from additional manufacturing? Secondly, unemployment is the biggest crisis facing our economy. She's not talked about unemployment at all. Okay, so if you have a salary, you're going to pay less tax, apparently. But if you don't have a salary, where are you going to get the salary from? You need to generate more jobs in this economy, and there's been no sign of that. So these are some of the things. We'll have to look at the proposals in full detail. But my own feeling at the moment is that the central problems facing the economy have not been addressed. Economic growth is still much lower than had been projected even a year ago. And on top of that, we've seen exports are down. It's now less than 20% of GDP. How is she going to improve exports? What are the methods that's going to be creating more goods for export? Not clear. Equally unclear is this whole question of the fiscal deficit. I remember Arun Jaitley talking about moving towards 3% fiscal deficit. Today she cheerfully announces 4.8%. So the fiscal deficit has not got better, it's got worse, unlike what the government has been planning for years.
Sir, one more question. There have been some Bihar-specific announcements.
Obviously, this is meant with the Bihar elections in mind. And it's ironic that the party that wants one nation, one election seems to think that each time there's an election in a state, you've got to give them more freebies. Then by this rate, you may as well have multiple elections so everyone can benefit.
Please understand, government is just giving you illusion that you're not being taxed. Okay? Relief, no relief. Inflation itself is a tax. It's a silent tax, a brutal tax. Your bills from restaurant, fuel stations, Amazon, high component of GST. Indirect taxes, reliance on it, not a good thing. Poorest and the middle class, they will be hit the hardest with those indirect taxes. And rich will pay less proportional tax. They save more, they invest more, they invest elsewhere. India's GST 28% in some categories. It's amongst the steepest globally. Essential items in India are taxed 5%, 12%, 18%, all indirect taxes. GST on mobile phones, essential electronic goods. Look at the number. You need digital inclusion. Pick any data from US, even today. Fuel taxes are around 18-20% of the price. In India, it's more than 50%. Fuel, such a vital commodity in your supply chain. No matter which industry you are in, you will be impacted. So please do not think that you're not paying taxes. Sunny Deol, just look at his attendance in the parliament. Last year, when he was in his last term, a reporter asked him that, you just asked one question in your entire tenure. You never went to Gurdaspur, your constituency. He said, politics is not for me. It took him 5 years to realize that. But he was getting 2 lakh per month on monthly basis from us. He had those VIP train tickets. He had priority access in the airports. Why? Why did we pay?
Masses deserve money in their hands. which means GST should have been cut. The taxes on petrol and diesel, or the prices of petrol and diesel, have to be cut. One GST cut. Now today, the Revenue Secretary says, yes, GST rationalization is due. We have been saying that for the last 2 years. He said it today. GST cut. Or petrol and diesel taxes or prices reduced. 3, statutory minimum wage raised, or Maganrega wages raised. You can't do all 4 things in the same budget, but you could have done 1 or 2 of them. I'm not grudging the middle class getting 1 lakh benefit. But what about the remaining 142 crore people?
What does it mean to be a citizen? It's not just about having rights. It's also about responsibilities. Responsibilities to ask tough questions from the government. You will not feel engaged. There's 0.5% paying direct taxes. And I'm repeating direct taxes because, again, others will pay taxes in other forms. I'll talk about that. Government will do anything, it will do everything in power to make you subjects, not citizens. And you must understand that. Why? Because when you do not pay, or at least if you have that illusion that you're not paying, 99.5% have that illusion now, you will not question. A true citizen has both rights and responsibilities. They contribute to governance through taxes, and then they demand accountability in return.
The best and the only thing that can be welcomed is the income tax break she gave to 3 crore 20 lakh tax-paying income tax filers. On a selfish note, I'm one of them. So I welcome it. But that's only 3 crore 20 lakh. I think she forgot that India's population is about 143 crore. That's the worst thing. You remember 3 crore 20 lakhs is good, and the only thing that you can welcome, but you forget that India's population is 143 crore. It's completely wrong economics. She says she'll put 1 lakh crore in the hands of the taxpayers. Yes, good. But, as was pointed out by several writers yesterday and today, the 1 lakh crore will not go into consumption. In fact, one of the senior officials of the government has said, I think the Secretary Banking, he hopes that half of it goes into bank deposits. It can go into paying old debts. Every household is indebted, even among the tax-paying class. They'll pay back old debts. They will travel abroad. They will consume imported goods. So what proportion of this 1 lakh crore will go into consumption of domestic goods and domestic services? Assuming all the 1 lakh crore goes to consume domestic goods and domestic services, it's still 0.3% of India's GDP, which is 324 lakh crore. 1 lakh crore will stimulate 324 lakh crore. Completely wrong economics. Show me any economist who will agree with you. Nobody says you should not spur demand. In fact, we are saying you must stimulate demand, but demand among the masses of the people. Do you know that the monthly per capita expenditure, average monthly per capita expenditure, released in December 24, we are only in February, is 4,122 rupees in rural areas and 6,996 rupees in urban areas. This is the average for the whole country. If you take the bottom half, it'll be much less. It'll be about 3,000 rupees in current prices and maybe 4,500 rupees for urban India. You have to stimulate demand among them. If the masses consume, it'll stimulate demand. I'm not saying this will not stimulate demand, but don't exaggerate it. Mr. Krishnamurthy may have said that. He's wrong. And that is why I believe he's the former chief economic advisor.
Working class is the easiest to fool. But over time, you will see from food to housing, everything drained out. We should aim for broadened tax base. I know, I understand it's a bad political move. People will say, how can you talk about taxing 1% of my wealth? But with that comes in your responsibility to question, where is my money going? Direct taxes are important. Indirect taxes could be concerning.
व्यवस्था है जो प्रशासन ने कार्य किया है, मैं अभिभूत हूँ। कभी कल्पना नहीं की थी कि भारतवर्ष में इस प्रकार का आयोजन होगा। हर स्तर के ऊपर प्रशासन ने और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने जो चमत्कारी करिश्मा दिखाया है, एक हादसा हुआ, पर अंदाजा लगाइए कितनी त्वरित गति से, किस गति से हर मामले को हैंडल किया गया। और आज तक दुनिया अचंभित हो जाएगी ये जानकर, अमेरिका की जितनी पॉपुलेशन है उतने लोगों का तो आगमन हो चुका है यहाँ पर।
It is a shame that Vice President of India, I think yesterday or today, casually remarking that stampede happened, but look at how it was managed. 21st century India, that's how people are dying. Stampede in Mahakumbh. And jahan se kids are getting burnt in ICU. But then what will media ask? What kind of questions is media asking? How do you eat a mango? Any thoughts on the budget? Anyone? Happy, sad? See, honestly, I have not read through it in detail, but basis what you are saying, basis the preliminary readings, I think this was a nonsense budget. Very controversial statement. Think about this. Less than 0.5% of Indians will now pay direct taxes. And this is concerning. Sane countries, they broaden the tax base of direct taxes. They rationalize those taxes. They don't give out freebies. Because when you do that, you will not hold the government accountable. Why? Because then you will go on to become a subject, not a citizen. In sane, forward-looking countries, governments, they broaden the tax base. They rationalize the direct taxes. Why? Because when more people contribute, governance, it becomes a collective responsibility. What does it mean to be a citizen? It's not just about having rights. It's also about responsibilities. Responsibilities to ask tough questions from the government. You will not feel engaged. There's 0.5% paying direct taxes. And I'm repeating direct taxes because, again, others will pay taxes in other forms. I'll talk about that. When you don't pay taxes, why would you care about how they spend it? They can do anything that they like. You may think it's not my money. I don't pay direct tax. That's how you become a subject, not a citizen. And that is exactly what governments want. The ideal citizen is someone who is a subject, cannot think rationally, cannot ask questions. They don't even have the need to ask questions. In monarchies, dictatorships, you have subjects, not citizens. In monarchies and dictatorships, you will also have less direct taxes. When majority does not pay taxes, they have zero incentives to hold the government accountable for how it spends that money. You have subjects who will ask for more and more. Just 0.5% people left out to foot the bill. What will they do? The beauty of modern world is it's globalized. You will fly to countries that may treat them better. You will not just see brain drain, you will also see investment drain, capital flight. It's all coming. Go back to the Misfits episodes. Those are foundational episodes. You can predict future based on those episodes. But lengthy discussions on those episodes. Whatever we discussed, a year later, governments do it. So whatever we may discuss today, you will see the future. In just a few years, you will see a fiscal crisis because of this very tax policy. Government will borrow excessively, inflation will skyrocket, and poor will be the hardest hit. Please understand, government is just giving you illusion that you're not being taxed. Okay? Relief, no relief. Inflation itself is a tax. It's a silent tax, a brutal tax. Your bills from restaurant, fuel stations, Amazon, high component of GST. Indirect taxes, reliance on it, not a good thing. Poorest and the middle class, they will be hit the hardest with those indirect taxes. And rich will pay less proportional tax. They save more, they invest more, they invest elsewhere. India's GST 28% in some categories. It's amongst the steepest globally. Essential items in India are taxed 5%, 12%, 18%, all indirect taxes. GST on mobile phones, essential electronic goods. Look at the number. You need digital inclusion. Pick any data from US, even today. Fuel taxes are around 18-20% of the price. In India, it's more than 50%. Fuel, such a vital commodity in your supply chain. No matter which industry you are in, you will be impacted. So please do not think that you're not paying taxes. Government will do anything, it will do everything in power to make you subjects, not citizens. And you must understand that. Why? Because when you do not pay, or at least if you have that illusion that you're not paying, 99.5% have that illusion now, you will not question. A true citizen has both rights and responsibilities. They contribute to governance through taxes, and then they demand accountability in return. If Misfits was free of cost, I was giving everything free of cost to you, free, I'm not accountable to you. How can you hold me accountable? So it's a travesty that we are moving towards a governance where taxation structure is shifting from direct to indirect taxes, something very dangerous. Because now you will lose moral grounds. At least some of you will lose moral ground to question governments. It's a psychological trick. You will see that money is not getting deducted from your paycheck. You will believe that you're not being taxed. But in reality, you will end up paying more than ever. A country where everyone pays tax, that's a broader tax base, where everyone pays tax, whatever kind that is. They feel the pain. Then they will ask questions. Where is my money going? They will vote for efficient policies. They will demand transparency. But in a country where less than 0.5% they pay direct taxes, will they ask questions? They have zero incentives to question the government. That is exactly what you want if you were the prime minister. This is how it works, how to convert a citizen to a subject. First, you remove direct taxes. Then government will take away your ability to own private wealth. High taxes and investments, restrictions on savings, restrictions on speaking freely, social media regulation, censorship, digital broadcasting bill, innumerable paid rules. There will be restrictions on moving capital freely. There will be weak institutions. This happens across the world. It happened in Russia, happened in Venezuela, happens in Saudi Arabia. History has shown us this, tax manipulation is a phenomenal tool to weaken citizenship. Don't become a passive population. Become an active citizen. Do not become a subject. Become a citizen. In Saudi Arabia, no income tax on individuals. State funds everything through oil revenues. People rely on governments. What's the reality? Power runs in one family, can do anything. Mohammed bin Salman can do anything. Monarchy rules without any democratic accountability. Same situation in many parts of the Gulf. You will have no bargaining power. Hitler also never taxed those citizens directly. He imposed hidden taxes on businesses, inflation. Working class is the easiest to fool. But over time, you will see, from food to housing, everything drained out. We should aim for broadened tax base. I know, I understand it's a bad political move. People will say, how can you talk about taxing 1% of my wealth? But with that comes in your responsibility to question, where is my money going? Direct taxes are important. Indirect taxes could be concerning. Again, I've not read through the detailed pages, but this is at least a broader trend that we can see and observe. For your daily needs, daily expenses, critical items, you will pay same tax for what Ambani will pay. We should not create a scenario where, the entire burden is upon the rich or the poor. It has to be fair. But most importantly, my concern is not that. My concern is, are we becoming subjects or citizens? Because citizens, they ask rational questions. If citizens are made to believe that directly they do not pay taxes, they will never hold the government accountable. And the beauty of this statement is, the statement is lifted off from Economic Survey of India. Not of this year, but I think when Arvind Subramanian was the chief economic advisor, he wrote a survey. There was correlation between this, democracy, and the percentage of people who pay direct taxes. Any thoughts, anyone? If you are again citizens of India, you can be rational. Because now the mood is pretty, we have achieved something remarkable. But reality is different. It's just an illusion. The allegory of caves, all the Platos in town. In fact, in PSIR, we had an episode where citizens from Nordic countries, they're so happy paying taxes. And then we discussed that at length. See, the point is, it's not binary, that a consciousness is going down or up. It's always in the process. As long as we have free, independent media, as long as we do not have random ED raids in India, people will acquire the consciousness. But if we have 159th number in our press freedom index, that is concerning. It is a shame that Vice President of India, I think yesterday or today, casually remarking that stampede happened, but look at how it was managed. 21st century India, that's how people are dying. Stampede in Mahakumbh. And jahan se kids are getting burned in ICU. But then what will media ask? What kind of questions is media asking? How do you eat a mango? So it is very true that media is the fourth and perhaps the most important pillar of any sane democracy. And that is why, see, whosoever is controlling media, they're ruling the world. Elon Musk has control over media now. Why was Bezos invited in that presidential inauguration? Washington Post. Look at Rajya Sabha MPs in India. Many may come from media background. Gandhiji also started his newspaper, right? So it's not a binary consciousness thing. As long as we have independent, at least some independent folks, and then they have the support of citizenry, they're not being bashed for their views, things will change for the better in this country. It is a service to our country if we can be critical to the government. Otherwise, who will take that role? Only when you're criticized, you will improve. Collectively, our purpose is what? To ensure that India thrives, our country thrives, not Kejriwal thrives or Modi ji thrive. So I think this bashing of folks just because of their certain views should end. It's a shame, every policy debate, every discussion is around, that someone is funded by George Soros or so ever. Those 0.5 folks who are paying direct taxes, or at least the upper echelons, they will change their tax residencies. They may go to Uruguay, for example. 7% flat tax. Why pay tax in India? They may change their residency to Dubai or Singapore. Many have done this, many are doing it, and they will do it. That's the beauty of globalized world. Wherever they are treated better, that's where they will go. And who are these folks? They are the ones who brought in the investments, they're the ones creating jobs for the economy. But all of that is fine. In terms of tax slabs, it should be fair. Because direct taxes, it's progressive in nature. Once you earn more, you pay more. That's fine. Indirect, by its very concept, regressive in nature. Because everyone is paying the same price. And there are detailed 3 hours lessons in economics. Will not want to repeat it. But my point is much more controversial. My point is there should be a broadening of tax base for direct taxes. 100% of India should pay direct tax. That is how they will hold government accountable. Of course, the number could be minuscule. Even if you pay 100 rupees a tax, that's fine. But pay that tax. Because then you will have that feeling, I paid some money. What am I getting in return? Why are our politicians there traveling private jets? That feeling itself, it's my money that you're using. That is needed. Sunny Deol, just look at his attendance in the parliament. Last year, when he was in his last term, a reporter asked him that, you just asked one question in your entire tenure. You never went to Gurdaspur, your constituency. He said, politics is not for me. It took him 5 years to realize that. But he was getting 2 lakh per month on monthly basis from us. He had those VIP train tickets. He had priority access in the airports. Why? Why did we pay? I know it's a controversial statement. Many will hate me for saying this. Who likes to pay tax? Right? But I am talking about broadening the tax base. That's a smart move. Today we are learning about the world, about India. But we can bring forth large changes once we're acquiring those positions of power. And people like you, when they want to occupy important positions, that's when change will happen. Slowly and steadily. So our goal is to ensure that whosoever is attending this meeting, they go on to occupy that position. That's the goal.